Ooh.
We needed some kind of fancy Star Wars transition right there.
Yeah, but we need licensing rights to do things too crazy, so I just kind of did like jazz hands reverse. What's up, everybody? How we doing tonight?
Happy May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
So Paul and I are mega Star Wars nerds. We were both born the same year, and it was like right when Star Wars came out, right?
Came out you just
made us ourselves older.
No, you just totally gave up the fact that you're not that much of a Star Wars nerd. What year did
I'm not as nerdy as
What
you,
year did Star Wars
sure.
come out, Jenny?
73?
77.
Yeah, in my brain I said 77, so that counts.
You've lost your nerd card.
Well, that's okay.
That's
I can live without it.
We're gonna go home and watch Star Wars
tonight. Hi, Marlene.
Tonight,
Good to see you.
So
Glad to have you on here.
I'm like
time to watch
camera.
Star Wars now, Marlene.
I'm gonna lean in because I'm like off camera. I forgot to move the camera, but anyway.
Let's get your painting in here.
Let's get it
go ahead
in.
And zoom in.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta grab it. There it is. We are doing Hoth during the snowstorm.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are. See, there it is. It's Hoth during the snowstorm. There's the, the Wumpus. All right, here we go. We are doing Dagobah, and we're in particular focusing on Yoda's hut. And look, R2's out here because he couldn't fit through the door.
Yep, it's a little too big.
So,
which is weird, because how did Luke fit through the door?
Because
he
crawled.
Bend over.
Yeah. Actually, if they had done it right, they should have had R2 needed limbo mode. He just needed to tip all the way and just
with the right music.
Whoop, zip through. Anyway, so I kind of like had fun with this one. This was one that we kind of like fought over. Jenny kind of wanted to do it, but then I was like, no, I really want.
You did not fight over it.
I did. Just admit it. But anyway, I really wanted to. I did some things to add more of a fantasy and kind of fun, magical vibe to it.
You made it a little lighter and brighter than Dagobah actually is.
I wanted it to be that way.
It kind of looks more like Endor, but that's okay.
No, you know, in Return of the Jedi, they never actually said the term Ewok. Did you know that?
Yeah, that was one of our trivia questions when you did the Endor painting.
Oh, okay. A couple years ago.
Yeah, so the Endor painting I really loved, and that is available on our YouTube channel, which this is Palette Knives Out. Yep. I'm Jenny. This is Paul. And
we better start painting.
I know some of you guys came over from Vango, and this is what we've been doing since 2019 on the side, along with teaching live. So
we've been talking for almost 3 minutes. It's time to paint.
Let's get going.
Let's toast to May the 4th. We both have our green Mountain Dew.
Green beverages.
Cheers, everybody.
So tell everyone our colors.
So our colors we're using tonight, and of course, if you're joining us, I mean, we don't do the subscription box anymore, so we all operate on what colors we have available. We are using Phthalo Blue, black, white. We are using, is this a craft yellow?
Yeah, it's just
craft
bright
yellow,
yellow, yeah.
Bahama blue, and green apple, and then we've got bright red. Now,
I was going to say, if you guys have a darker turquoise than that, like a lot of the ones out of the bottle are quite a bit darker.
Yeah.
Most of the time you can add some white to them and get a very similar color.
Even the phthalo blue with a little bit of white
and some yellow.
And a little tiny bit of yellow. It's a very small amount of yellow. Will get us there. So the main thing is more about having colors that are close in proximity to what we're using. Everybody's paintings are going to be different anyway, so let's not rely too much on the color being exact. So we are going to start off with our biggest brush, and I'm just going to take a little bit of our Bahama blue really quick, and I'm going to sketch out a basic kind of horizon line.
Actually, you should show, like, we don't have a lot of brush sizes that we're using.
Yeah, we use 4 brushes.
You just want a nice big one to get the background on.
Yeah, so we're using like a 3/4 inch or a 1 inch wash either way. And we're kind of going about halfway up the canvas, which is kind of not the best rule of thumb, but that's what we're going to do. Maybe a little below halfway. Doesn't.
So tell people, why is it not the best rule of thumb?
1/3 rule is kind of
the rule of thirds.
Rule of thirds, the golden ratio. All right, and it's just real loose, and that's just so that mostly this is just something so that we can see where we're going to have a shift in texture from background to water. So with that said, I'm going to take a little bit of my apple green. Of course, if you're using a different green, just add some white to it. I'm going to take about equal parts apple green and Bahama blue, and a little tiny bit of white.
That's a fun color. Yeah,
it is a cool color. And I'm going to add a little bit more Bahama. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the brush just kind of scribble vertically, because what we've got is jungle trees and things like this. And we're just going to kind of create a bit of a...
Was it a jungle there, or was it kind of swampy?
It's a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a swamp. And just going to kind of... If you guys have never painted with me before, I am very loose at painting. I'm very messy, and the messy throughout.
He's messy at home, too.
People did not sign in for that. But
that is very Yoda skin color.
It is. It's like totally Grogu. Actually, we did Grogu last year.
Yeah. Yeah, we can bring it over. It's right up behind us.
So we're just kind of creating this little area, and I'm not going to clean my brush, but I'm just going to take some white now.
Were we supposed to add more green, like you just did?
Yeah.
The Yoda skin color?
Yeah. If you're too busy insulting me.
That's my job.
And you're sticking to it.
So Paul and I have been married for almost 30 years.
Yeah, and we've been together as a couple for more than 30 years. So we have
the right to diss each other on live YouTube once in a while.
Yeah, we actually just celebrated, 31 years as a couple.
In March.
In March. Okay, so this is what we're going to keep going across here. Actually, instead of going across, what I want to do now is I want to start just kind of mimicking this in the foreground. So the difference is in the background, since we've got trees and stuff that are going this way, the water we see horizontal planes. So we're going to start brushing the same basic idea of what we did above, using very loose, mostly horizontal-ish. And this is just kind of our laying down our base for our water. This painting from a water standpoint is not really intricate, like a beach scene or a river or a lake or something. This is just...
You painted a Dagobah we could all live in very easily.
Yeah.
It's like pleasant Dagobah.
So
I kind of like those swampy original too, though.
Well, a lot of the reference pictures I looked on online were very bright in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted that brightness, because I didn't want it to be too dingy either, because then paintings get really boring if there's no brightness. If everything's just kind of medium tone.
Julie, good to see you on here. Happy May the 4th to you as well. Glad you could make it on.
Nanu. Oh, wait, no, that was a different.
What's Nanu? That's like...
That's Star Trek.
Oh, Star Trek.
No, wait, that wasn't. It was...
Doctor Who?
No, it was Mork and Mindy.
Oh, my gosh. I never watched that.
What?
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I just didn't ever.
That's not the most shocking thing ever. That was like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Like really kind of like his introduction, like when he started first becoming a star. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep going to the left. And this is where the trees kind of start to fill in a little bit more. So I'm just using the green to start with. And I'm being very messy and choppy with this at this point, because it is a jungle and it's a swamp and there's vines and leaves and gigantic spider webs and whatever.
If you want to paint the predator in there, you can.
You can, yeah, absolutely.
He's invisible, so it's really easy to paint.
So I'm mixing a little tiny bit of our Phthalo Blue in with the green. And I just kind of want to have some hints of this starting to kick in here. If it gets too bold, you can really...
Question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Are these the dark ones? Are those trees?
No, there's...
Okay. Background?
No, they're nothing.
Okay.
They're just shape and texture. So all of this vertical kind of streaking is to give the impression that there's shape and things going on in the background, but I don't want you thinking specifically about painting trees, because...
So it's noise, yeah. I like that.
Yeah, what do I usually call it? Background chatter?
Mm-hmm. You know, when I was looking at different May the 4th paintings for inspiration, I wasn't sure what we were going to paint. There were several that were Starry Night, Star Wars.
That's predictable.
It is. That's what I thought, too. I mean, neat idea, but...
Yeah. Now
Everybody else had that same idea.
Kind of just going in with some straight phthalo blue. Add some streaks if it gets too crazy. All of this that we're doing right now, we're doing with the intention of the colors kind of mixing on the canvas and creating all kinds of different texture and color patterns and things like that. We're going to keep going. And yes, we're going to have a giant tree right in front of a lot of this as we get closer to the end of our painting. But it's important to go ahead and put this in just in case, you know, maybe we don't cover that spot with the tree, and it's better to have something there than not.
Oh, I have some trivia questions.
Oh.
For
anyone. Now, real quick, before we get going too far into trivia questions. When we get to this last inch or so of this, instead of using the green to balance it, I'm going to go ahead and use our Bahama Blue. Why? I don't know. I mean, it's more of a balance, you know, balancing things out kind of thing more than anything. I'm going to zoom in real quick so you guys can actually see what this looks like up close. It's really quite messy. There's not a lot going on with it right now. So you can just see it's those three basic colors that we used, just kind of streaked together. And let's see, I'm going to take a little bit, mix a little bit of our Bahama. Oh wait, before we get going, let's go ahead and bring those colors down into our foreground. And this is going to be a little bit trickier because we're using this side to side brush stroke. So if you need to lighten, it might be a little darker, it might be a little lighter, whatever. But what I do to instead of trying to blend this out is we just literally let the ripples kind of cut in and cut out, and a little bit more green in here to create the idea that this is, I mean, water doesn't really blend, really. I mean, not visually. So we're going to see the ripples and the shadows and things like that. A little bright. Doesn't matter. We got a lot more going on in this foreground as we get going. What do they call this? Like tepid water or whatever?
Stagnant water?
Stagnant water.
I think tepid is a temperature.
I think you're right. Could be tepid too then.
Actually, yeah, I remember it's like really warm and jungle-like temperatures on Dagobah.
It's just humid as can be. I'm just going to take a little bit of our phthalo blue. And again, we're just kind of bringing these colors down, but we're doing it in a horizontal manner. And that's how we get the feeling of this is something different than what's down below. And we'll add some impression, some suggestion of shrubs and stuff. But what you can really do is just kind of like along this little horizon, you know, this little separation is just kind of scribble in.
Scribble in shrubbiness, swampy shrubbiness.
And, you know, really kind of like misty humidity, you know.
What do you think they modeled this area off of?
I'm going to go with the bayou.
Yeah. Except it's like foggy misty, which...
Well, the bayou is too.
Is it?
Yeah.
No? I don't know. I've never been there.
Well, any place...
I just always see pictures of it pretty still.
Kind of just depends. That was the one thing, like, I noticed that, like, remembering the movie is it had a lot of, like what I imagine was probably dry ice stuff going on in Dagobah. Or on Dagobah. Like there was like this constant like fog over all the water and stuff like that. And I think that's just how it expresses that it's humid. So obviously this area where I'm painting right now, most of this is going to get covered up.
Oh, Julie says she loves the colors so far. I do too, Julie.
Awesome.
I think they're great.
Yeah, this is a fun one. But anyway, what I was just saying though is a lot of this area we're painting right now is going to get covered up, but I think it's important to go ahead and get it in there because like maybe it's not, maybe that spot's not going to get covered, and it's much easier to just go ahead and pretend like this is all being reflected at once.
Good practice. Good painting practice.
Well, and if you come in and you've got a gap, and you don't want to have white that you then have to figure out how do I make this work. Well, you just paint like, I always feel like especially when we're doing like this is really a landscape painting, and I always feel like, okay, every step should kind of feel like if I were to finish right now, it would feel resolved. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now, is making sure that this has a little bit of resolution to it. I'm just going to kind of create a little extra color. I just mixed up a little bit of the Bahama blue and a little bit of that green apple, and just going to kind of cut across some of these areas. And really what I'm doing is I kind of think you really have to be pretty loose and think about the major feeling of the brush movement going side to side, but you can throw a little jog in here and there. We'll come back in and add the white back in, but okay. I'm going to take a little bit of this color that's got a little bit of the phthalo blue in it as well, and we're just going to brush right along our horizon line again. Wipe my brush off, scribble up, scribble down. Like one of the things I want is I want this back edge to be soft. I don't want there to be just like this hard line of this is where the plants stop and this is where the water starts. We want to kind of leave that up for interpretation, but you definitely need a little bit of a shift going on. Then we can take a little bit more white. And one of the things I kind of did in this, and it's kind of hard to tell, but I actually left little pockets.
Little pockets.
Yeah, where the white's not, I mean, where it's more just like a blot of white. And at one point, like when I was developing this, I actually took some of these pockets and went, okay, there's, light coming through. And if you want to do that, you can. Just, you don't need to do very much.
Yeah, you were working on it for quite a while. Must have been redeveloping.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way painting is.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to add some like extra little bright spots going to the left, I mean, I would just take the little bit of your Bahama blue. Add some little choppiness in here. The main thing is like what we're doing with this background, and this is something that I think gets missed a lot, is we want to give the impression of definition without creating definition. And so what we do is we leave choppiness and harsh little chunks and stuff without having to actually detail things out, because that's where we get hung up is a lot of times when we do a painting, it's like photography. I think cell phones have kind of spoiled us in that they tend to, everything's in focus. It's like the old point and shoot cameras were the same way versus a good DSLR or mirrorless camera where you get to focus on one thing and then everything else that's further away or closer tends to be blurry. So we kind of want to paint the same way where we want this part to be what's in focus and everything else to kind of be there but blurry. And as far as the colors and what we're talking about right now is, if I bring the original, my goal in this, and this is kind of the rule of thirds is where I was talking, is this third of the painting here was to be our focal point, and it was going to be dark because it's got the dark tree, and then to balance that, this top corner, top third, has a lot more brightness to it, so we get nice contrast. I'm a big fan of heavy contrast. It's what makes paintings interesting in a lot of ways. It doesn't always have to be that way, but that's what I prefer.
It almost looks standalone as it is.
It does. We could just frame this right now and call it good. I mean, not really, but almost could. We could take a smaller brush right now and...
It's like Dagobah on a light and bright day.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a sun.
It's kind of, actually, it reminds me, this is kind of crazy, but there's something about it, even though the colors are completely different. It's very Morning Mists by Monet.
You know what? I actually thought that when I was painting it.
Okay, so I'm not off base.
Yeah. I actually thought about like going hardcore Monet with this.
That'd be kind of fun.
And you guys, I mean, if you guys want to see me
do... Are we putting sparkle on the water?
Yeah, we're just putting a little extra white. If you guys want to see, like maybe we'll do another free class, you know, maybe depending on our schedule later this month or in June, that maybe we could do like a fun, because Star Wars Day is actually later in the month. Yeah, it's the anniversary of the release of the original movie.
You really are the Star Wars aficionado, aka nerd.
Yeah, one of us has to be if we're going to claim it.
Exactly.
But maybe we could do something fun, like do a Monet-styled painting, but Star Wars theme.
That would definitely be your realm.
Yeah.
I like this brightness through here.
Yeah, this is good.
This green is fun. We don't use it enough.
No, it's actually one of my favorite colors to use too.
So if you guys want to know, it's a very inexpensive color by Craftsmart at Michael's, and I think it's just called Green Apple. And it's not like the greatest quality paint, but
it does the job.
It doesn't always have to be.
No.
And yeah, we really like the color and the opacity, so we've used it in a few paintings. It's perfect for this one.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to start laying out Yoda's hut. And I'm going to admit, I did not know this, but I did not realize that his hut was actually mostly his escape pod.
Oh, I'm the one who told you that, because I deep dove on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Wikipedia.
Yeah, well, that's all Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
It's on Wikipedia. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to establish, let me bring this back.
It was kind of neat to find out. I was like, whoa, that is like something I never knew, but now you look at it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did on this is this tree, I did almost like comic booky.
It reminds me of the tree you painted on the window at the art center.
Yeah, and I did this on purpose because I wanted it to have a really defined contrast in bark and stuff. And so the only way to really do that is to almost, like I said, almost comic booky in the way I did it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to establish these the main doorway and these two smaller windows. And what we're going to do for that is I'm going to use a smaller brush, and I'm going to use white to start with. And the doorway is right about here. And the reason I want to use white is I want it to have a nice, we might end up having to do this more than once. I want it to have a nice foundation to paint on.
That's a hobbit hole.
It is. No, it's a Yoda hole.
Careful what you say there.
This is PG-13. And then there's another little door here, or another little window here. And another little one, like right about here.
And if you decide to leave it this way, they can just be like swamp ghost orbs.
Yeah, for sure. I actually feel like I like the size of this. But what we're probably going to end up doing is doing a second coat of white eventually.
It's kind of weird to put it on with nothing, like you're not attaching it to anything.
Not yet.
They're just floating.
Yeah.
Are those other ones like windows?
Yeah, this is the door and those are the windows. And so then what I did on the original then is I just took some black and just kind of painted around them. I kind of created like a little line like this. And it kind of gets a little thinner at the bottom. You can use your smaller brush if you want to. But the reason I did it this way is like, it's a lot of times people are like, why didn't you just leave it white there? Well, it's kind of hard to paint your, so this one goes more like this. It's kind of hard to paint your water properly if you're leaving a spot. And I know there are people now that will like take like, you know, vinyl, like masking vinyl and stuff and put shapes on, but you know, you don't need to do that. So that's kind of our basic, and I'm just going to keep using this small brush really quick to kind of like, okay, there's like this mound that kind of comes out like this. The root kind of stretches across. There's another mound that kind of comes over here.
He held it together by the force.
He did.
With the force.
And there's
That's
just kind of like...
it's like, damn.
There's some roots and stuff that go around there. And I'll just zoom in real quick. This is really loose at this point. Like, this is just really kind of laying out basic concepts. Out. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I don't want to use that dark of a, I don't want to use black to get started on actually flushing out the tree. So I'm going to take a little bit, I'm just mixing, I'm just off screen. Just mixing a little bit of our Phthalo Blue, a little bit of maybe our Bahama, add some green. We're mixing dark, and let's go ahead and add just a touch of red to that. Just a tiny touch.
Phthalo, Bahama, and red? Or did I miss a color?
No, and green. A little bit of green too.
Green. What is the color you're aiming for?
Just dark.
Okay.
And that could actually use a little bit more phthalo and a little bit more red. This is just kind of a sketching color right now anyway. So I'm kind of like, if I'm looking at the original, the trunk of this tree kind of is just to the right of this window here. It comes down and it kind of starts to scoop across. And it just kind of blends in right around in here somewhere. Up a little bit of the black, that's fine. And then the other side of this tree is actually right along this edge.
Like a giant redwood.
In the swamp.
Big old sequoia in the swamp. So it goes off the canvas down there in the water?
Yeah, just down at the bottom corner.
Okay.
And at this point, like, I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little bit more of this color, and I'm going to switch to my biggest brush. So we're back to that 3/4 inch brush or so. I'm going to add a little bit more of our Bahama Blue, a little bit more of our green, maybe a little bit more of our red. There we go.
Kind of grayish?
Kind of a grayish, purpley, taupey.
Okay, everybody in the pool.
Except for black and yellow and white. And this is just kind of our foundation color. Mix a little bit more of it. And since this is going to be reflected in the water, I'm going to add some of this color down in here.
It's dark enough.
It doesn't matter really right now as long as you can see it.
Okay.
Because we're going to come back in and start adding. So I'm actually going to take a smaller brush now like our number 8. And take the same color and start working it in around our windows. Try not to lose too many of your little layout lines. You're going to lose some of them. It's okay. It's okay. So this is really just kind of our layout color. It's like our foundation color. So we're going to do highlights, we're going to do shadows. And this is just kind of our medium color. And I'm going to add a little tiny bit of white to this. And right along, I'm going to add a little bit more white.
Did you see Empire in the theater, or were you too
Yes.
young?
No, I saw every single one of them in the theater.
Okay.
Except for Rogue One. I guess I maybe didn't see that one in the theater.
No, I don't think we didn't see that.
Which is ironic because it's like, I think that's my favorite Star Wars movie. It's between it and Empire.
What did you like about Rogue One?
I liked that. I thought the cinematography in it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I also like, I like that it didn't rely on the Force.
Oh yeah.
But the Force is his name Danny Young, the actor that played the blind character who was always reaching for the Force.
Yeah, I don't remember his.
He was kind of.
I know who he is, but I don't remember his name.
He was in Ip Man. What was his name?
Oh, I can look it up.
I got it. So I just took a little bit of white and added it, and this is kind of the ground around Yoda's hut.
The little raised area.
It's really pretty flat.
Oh. Well, it's like, it looks like it.
Oh, it's raised above the swamp. Yeah. Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ip Man was good.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. There was like 4 of them, and they were all good. But anyway, he was always kind of reaching for the Force and talking about the Force, and it was just kind of implied that it was just beyond his grasp, although at times it seemed like maybe he harnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like what I liked about that whole story was this notion that it was setting the stage for the Force to make a comeback, and he still believed, but people thought it was nonsense. And I think sometimes Star Wars movies rely real heavily on let's have a lightsaber duel and
a cheesy side character.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was cheesy side character. There was the battle robot that was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he was cool.
It once, and it was right after it came out, which I don't know what year that was. So yeah, it is definitely one I need to watch again.
But anyway, I know it's like I've mentioned I think maybe last year that was my favorite Star Wars movie, and people are like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, well, I mean, it's just of the movies, it's the most intriguing to me. So, plus it sets the stage for all the others. I actually saw a listing that was on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was the listing of live-action Star Wars movies and shows and ranked, like highest rated. And the second highest rated was Andor Season 1.
Oh yeah, you told me
It was like 92%. And then the highest rated was Andor Season 2. And that's above any of the movies. So we have not sat down and watched. We started to, and I don't remember why we didn't. So I'm just going to add a little bit more white. And just going to maybe zoom in a little bit, because this is kind of a tricky thing here. I've just added a little tiny bit more white, and I'm just going to kind of create a little band that kind of comes along the edge here. I'm going to wipe my brush off.
What is that? Fog?
Just a little bit of hazy fogginess. But I don't want to be like an outline of the hut, but might end up that way. You can also take a little bit of this across back here.
Do you think it was fog or swamp gas?
No, it was steam. I mean, like, fogginess.
You want me to ask some trivia questions?
Go ahead. We got 8 people on with us right now, so it's a good time to ask.
Okay, so you guys can answer. We'll give like a minute or so, and then if they can't figure, we don't get any answers. You get the answer.
Okay.
Okay. So, who tells Luke Skywalker that he must go to the Dagobah system?
All right. You all hear that?
Who is the person who tells Luke that he needs to go to the Dagobah system? And that's in Empire.
It is.
You probably know the answer. You seem very confident.
Yeah.
That was a weird noise.
Wow, 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 wow. Kevin, by the way, Kevin, welcome to the channel. We see that you just signed up yesterday, and I believe you are correct.
You are correct. As a Force ghost. Ben Kenobi as a Force ghost. Very good, very good. It's okay, Marlene. You can do some nice guesses. So our child at home, who's 19, is now wanting to watch Star Wars because they figure they can't go to tattoo school without being part of the fandom.
It's true.
All right, let's see. Next trivia question. Oh, you know this one because you mentioned it in the beginning.
My bad.
What is the name of the ice planet where the Rebel Alliance is hiding? This is all Empire. This first several bit of questions. Some of them are easy. I'm in the easy section. We'll get to some hard
The only
ones.
people who would not get this one right would be people who have never seen any of the movies. Yep, Kevin's on it again.
Sweet. Yes, it is the planet Hoth. And as a child, I was very traumatized by the scene where Luke has to be put inside one of those
Tauntauns?
tauntauns.
Okay, so if we're going to host these and call ourselves experts, you've got a lot of work to do for next year.
I just, I need to brush up on my Star Wars, to be honest. I was not a big fan of the trilogy with Hayden Christensen, but I know that's very common.
Well, it is with people our generation.
Yeah.
The younger generation think of it, like they kind of think of it as their Star Wars. And
sure, that's understandable.
Yeah. So I'm taking a little bit of black with the number 8 brush here, you guys, and I'm just adding some hint of like eroded shoreline. I guess I could zoom out a little bit. And we're going to soften this up.
So it kind of just scoops down to the water like one of those ledges at the beach,
Yep.
where the little river comes from out of nowhere and heads right into the water. It leaves the sand ledges.
Yep. It's called an erosion. Erosion.
Okay. So I'll ask another question. Let's see.
Yeah, just so you guys know real quick before she does that, we're going to be using, and I'm not usually a person that uses black a lot, but we are going to be using a lot of black in the next little bits. So, and that's fine. Well, I mean, obviously it's fine. I wouldn't design the painting this way if that wasn't fine. As this goes across towards the left, this is going to go a little higher. Okay, go ahead.
What type of creature attacks Luke on Hoth?
That's a good one. Kevin, where are you at?
I remember being pretty terrified of that. I felt like Empire was scarier for me because we were both so young.
Well, it was a dark movie.
It was very dark.
I mean, of the Star Wars movies, really, like the two dark.
Ways, yeah.
Okay, the 2 darkest ones, and actually the 3 darkest ones, which have kind of made it into a lot of people's top 4, are Okay, Kevin's out on that one.
I think it's a snow beast, but can't remember the name for sure. Do you know, Paul?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what is it?
It's the Wampa.
Wow, that's pretty good. I didn't think you'd get that.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like the
The Yeti.
yeah, the abominable snowman.
No, the Bumble.
The Bumble from Rudolph.
From Rudolph, yeah.
But a much scarier version.
Yeah, for sure. So Empire is like most people's top 2. Rogue One has kind of moved up into most people's top 5. And the other one that's moved up into that top range as time's gone by is Revenge of the Sith, which was Star Wars Episode 3, when Anakin gets charred on Mustafar. And part of the reason people think that that's why they've become so popular is they're darker. There's not a lot of feel-good parts of those movies. It's, there's no triumph. It's like, really, if you think about like Empire, what is the triumph of Empire Strikes Back? I mean, Han gets frozen in carbonite and carted off. Luke loses his hand and finds out he's...
You're giving spoiler alerts to everyone.
I'm sure most people have seen it. I mean, most of the people that have tuned in have seen this. So, all right. So while I'm using this number 4 still. I'm just going to keep using black, and I'm going to start kind of creating our streaks that create our tree.
The big bark.
Yeah, and it could be vines and all kinds of stuff, and this is where we really get our harsh contrast going on. And
how far down do we go with this?
We're going all the way down into this area.
Okay.
This area, like right in here, this is going to be something that we kind of just fade into, where it's just like all kind of comes together and you don't really see where one thing starts and the other one ends. But for right now, and I'm laying this, maybe I should zoom in a little bit. I'm laying this in pretty thick. And I'm not going to go all the way across for now. Not with this brush. But I will wipe this brush off and just kind of smudge some of this out a bit.
All right, are we ready for another?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. What? Oh, here's a tough one.
Okay.
What is the name of the creature living in the asteroid that almost eats the Millennium Falcon?
Okay.
That part was very scary too as a child.
So I can honestly say I don't know the answer to that one.
Okay.
I have no clue. I know what it is. I can see it in my mind, but I don't know what it was called. I'll take a guess when it's, because I'm going to guess it's like far more simple than I'm giving it credit for. All right. So I'm going to just use my smaller brush now, and we're going to start creating some roots. And
oh, Kevin says Minoc. Let's see.
Okay.
Let me see the answer. Actually, I didn't read it. Oh, it's actually an exogorth, a giant space slug.
Good guess. I was going to say asteroid slug, but I mean, that's what I was talking about when I was saying it might be simpler than I think it is, but. All right, so we're just creating some little shapes, and I mean, you can even, like, if you wanted to, I think this is kind of a cool thing to do, you can even have a couple roots that kind of bounce away. Oh, we're going to put in his little chimney. And I'm going to kind of I'm using the smaller brush now. Maybe there's some more roots coming off this way.
Like little veins.
Yeah, I mean, they're just
Which one's the chimney? That little thing there?
This thing that's popping up right here. I remember when I was a kid, my friend had the Dagobah playset.
I didn't know there was one.
Oh yeah, and it was like, I remember there was a spot that you could attach R2-D2 outside the window, and then there was like this little lever so that he would spin around. It was kind of funny.
You were so jealous. Were you super jealous?
Mhm.
Paul's got a bunch of his old Star Wars toys, but they are definitely in very played with condition.
Oh my
Missing
gosh.
arms.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
definitely not really worth anything, but not that you would part with them anyway.
no, they're worth so much more sentimentally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember, like, okay, you guys, I'm gonna.
He has like 2 shoe boxes full.
Yeah, I don't know where they are though.
I think they're under Hayden's bed. Honestly, I think they really are.
And like,
Because we got him out for our son when he was little, but he wasn't as into Star Wars.
no, but I mean, that's like, we're talking 1978, 79. No, it's probably more like 79, 80. 77, maybe 78, 79, 80. Original like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Chewbacca and stuff like that. But they're definitely played with. And, like the lightsabers are all missing. You know, that's what makes them valuable.
There's limbs missing. There's a C-3PO with a limb missing. There's some
Well,
one that one of your dogs chewed.
Well, one of the
chewed up, or your dog
C-3POs.
chewed
Wait,
up.
hold on. One of the C-3POs
is missing a leg.
No, would you stop?
No.
One of the C-3POs I had was the one from Bespin when he got blown up by the stormtroopers, and so he came apart.
So the leg is just missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like he literally, like intentionally came apart.
There's one that Ricky chewed though.
Oh yeah, for sure. My dog got it was one of the Gamorrean guards, and more than one. I was really bad about putting my toys away, and my dog was really good about. Well, yeah, there's reasons for that. And my dog at the time was really good at. He loved to chew on my toys.
Oh yeah,
So.
they're perfect. Like plastic.
Yeah, the right kind of plastic too.
Toxic, highly toxic.
No, I mean like it was kind of soft to chew on it. Like
Yeah.
like the GI Joe action figures would like kind of break, and the Star Wars ones were like a softer plastic. All right, so I'm mixing together.
Malleable.
Yeah, more like a chew toy. I'm mixing together a little bit of our apple, and a little Bahama Blue. I need to zoom out.
Palette. Okay, so apple and Bahama Blue.
Yeah, and a little bit of white.
Yeah, this Bahama Blue is also a Michael's color, but I think it might be made by Americana.
I think
Yes,
it is.
it is.
So I'm just gonna start.
So in the craft paint aisle.
Yeah, doing the same kind of thing, but I'm creating some little highlights. And I'm not necessarily sticking to the black parts that we put on. And there's a little bit of highlight on the side here, a little bit of highlight here. And as you move a little bit further towards the left, you can add a little bit more green, a little bit more Bahama, so it's not quite so bright.
Okay, I'll do another trivia. Okay. Which Star Destroyer is Admiral Piet commanding? I don't even know who Admiral... Is that the snail-looking guy?
No.
Who's Admiral Piet?
Can't remember. From what movie?
These are all Empire.
Oh, Empire. Oh, I know which one it is. Yeah, jeez. Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah, I can tell you're itching to answer.
No, I'm not. I'm not. This is not about me. This is about our viewers. You can use your smaller brush now and just add some little hints and stuff. further we go to the left, the less of this bright highlight we're going to see. But one of the fun things we can do is I'm going to take a little bit of our Bahama blue and a little bit of our Phthalo blue, and you can kind of mix up a little bit more Bahama. This really kind of neat jewel tone of blue.
Pretty. Oh, that's really pretty. That's just Phthalo and Bahama, yeah.
Yeah, and just kind of scatter it in almost like darker highlights as you go across.
Hey, Paul, do you have the answer?
Yeah, it's the Super Star Destroyer.
It is not. It is the Executor.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm probably just didn't get the name right. It's one of those things that's like it probably never got mentioned in the movies, what the actual name of it is.
Yeah.
But the canon and stuff like that has those answers.
Okay.
I am not a person who has spent a lot of time sitting around learning a lot of that stuff either.
You know, I've got some that are just purely Dagobah related.
Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of, just add a little bit of red to that, by the way, you guys, and just make it dark kind of purple. I'm going to use this as some shadows and stuff.
Okay, easier one. What happens to Luke's X-Wing when he lands on Dagobah?
Oh.
You can paint it on here.
I thought about it.
I saw a painting that had it on there. I know it was a photo from the movie. I thought it was a painting. And
Probably
I looked
was.
at it closer, but it was also, you know, it was kind of blurry because way back then. That is right. Kevin sinks into the bog. Kevin for the win.
Good thing Daniel's not here. He might feel offended. I mean, he might feel...
You'll have competition. Where
Yeah.
is he anyway?
He was going to see a comedian in downtown.
Oh, fun. Yeah, he's a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
We used to watch, remember we'd watch Den of Nerds after,
Oh, yeah.
that was kind of a fun show. It's a YouTube channel if you guys are Star Wars fans, and he talks a lot about,
Marvel, too.
yeah, a lot of discussions after episodes of the different Star Wars shows.
Yeah. I'm just adding color, and like this part right here needs to add a little bit more darkness coming across. I actually thought about doing the tree that Vader is in. You know, that Luke goes into. He goes into the tree trunk and he fights Vader.
Damn, that was one of the trivia questions.
Oh.
Spoiler alert. That part was scary too.
Actually, you go back and watch it. It's so cheesy, like slow-mo. So I'm going to just come in and add a little extra black.
Doing over nothing yet, really?
No, I mean, we just kind of, I mean, really, if you look at, like, I looked at photo references for this. This is just kind of dirt. So there's not really a lot going on.
Poor R2 has to be so lonely out there.
And it's raining. And,
Oh, R2.
yeah. So I can see I'm like looking at the original, and I've got, really it's more of a dark gray that I've got going on in the tree. Oh yeah,
Well,
thanks
it's a
for
big
joining
store.
us.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it'll be up forever.
Yep. This
Up for
one's
free
staying free.
forever.
Now, if you guys are really enjoying what we're doing tonight and you see this in the future and enjoy it, we do have a membership program. Starts at $2.99 a month, and we do 2 live streams a month with new and unique paintings. And then for $6.99, you get access to, what, close to 300 tutorials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a ton of them, and we do a lot of fun pop culture chats and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're husband and wife. We've been together for 31 years, and so we've grown up together. Really, we started dating when we were 19. And so we try to be like, okay, we're just having fun doing what we love to do together, and less be, I mean, we obviously like to teach the art part. By the way, I'm taking some yellow now.
And if you are local to like the Portland area,
Portland, Oregon
Portland
Metro.
we teach live classes several times a month in Sherwood. You can find those by going to vinegogh.com. It's VINEGOGH. We just taught one last night. We have some coming up this week.
Yep.
And it's fun. The live classes are fun. Same thing. We do a lot of stories and laughing and
yeah. I mean, even if we're
making it easy.
Even if we're just doing a. By the way, I just added my first layer of yellow. But even if we're just doing like one of our regular tutorials, and we still have a lot of fun talking about music and art and stuff, and it's just who we are. So we actually met in music class in college. And Jenny was already taking art. I grew up in an artistic family, so it wasn't a stretch for me to start going to art with her. But
he was really just following me like a stalker.
Honestly.
So you're putting some red in there to just kind of warm it up?
Yep, just a little bit. Almost.
Did you mix it with yellow first?
I did.
Orange?
Yeah. It could be a little bit warmer, so. But anyway, we think that art is something, that painting that something that should be fun, it should be exciting, it should not be anything that's ever stressful and
or rigid.
Yeah, and even though we know that compared to a lot of other, like what we'd call sip and paint, our paintings are a little bit more complicated than a lot of them, but we don't want you to feel overwhelmed by it. We want you to feel like you can learn, but we definitely try to do our best to teach you.
Yeah, we started in 2011 in Portland, Oregon. We had a studio and ended up closing that during COVID, and have just kind of been teaching here, teaching there, mostly in Sherwood because we live there.
So I'm just going to add a little bit of glow coming out the window, out the door here. You can add a little bit of glow on the ground, maybe this other window's throwing some light. And I'm going to go ahead and add some reflected of this color down in our water.
It's like a little hobbit hovel, isn't it?
No, it's a little Yoda hut. But it is very similar, I guess.
Okay, more trivia coming up.
Let's do it.
See. I'm in the Dagobah section, aren't I? Okay, so this is the one that you just answered. What does Luke see in the dark cave during his training on Dagobah? Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
A vision of Darth Vader, which turns out to have whose face?
I do.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm waiting. I'm giving other people a chance. I know there's a delay. Yep, he's got it. Kevin's on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are up in here on the land and also in the water.
Yeah,
Okay,
so this is just the light shining out. And
got it. Got it.
actually, I don't know if you saw, but Dead Gods is doing a May the 4th flash.
They are.
Tattoo day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the school and shop our daughter is going to be attending in the Portland area. They're longtime friends of ours.
We had studios next to each other for 5 years. So they were neighbors.
And much of the ink you see on both our forearms are from them. And they have known our daughter since she was like 9. So when she was excited to attend tattoo school, they were like, yes, she's like family to us, of course.
Well, she did have to interview and submit art.
She did. Yeah, it wasn't like, yeah, well, it wasn't like 100% nepotism. Greta is an amazing, incredible artist. I'm not gonna, like, she's so far ahead of where I was at
Same.
that age. When the tattoo school says the biggest control thing we're gonna have to teach you is how to actually dial your art back.
Is that what they said?
That's what Brandon said. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
To
like
be able to
very
tattoo it.
different.
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
I'm just adding some little extra highlights. When this is very blue right now, and I'm okay with that. If you guys wanted to go more gray, go ahead and do that. A lot of this is going to change. I'm going to bring the original back because when we start doing the trees and the jungle vines and stuff that frame a lot of this is going to change a lot. And it might actually, you might appreciate this extra little blue going on in there because it'll help that stand out. In fact, we're going to start doing that right now. And this is where you kind of have to go, okay, making big commitments. But the first thing we're going to do is this wonderful little trick. And if you guys subscribe and join our regular painting tutorials and stuff, you will learn about this trick a lot. It's something, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure other people have done it. It was something I developed a few years ago as far as a way of doing the foreground water. And again, I'm not going to claim that I'm the only person who's ever done it, but it's definitely something I stumbled upon on my own. And I'm just going to take a little bit of black and just going to kind of dab this color in, leaving some gaps. My brush was a little bit wetter than I want, but that's okay. And it's important to leave little bits of, I keep my brush horizontal, but it's important to leave little bits of the water showing. And as we go across to the, maybe you're going to lose little bits and pieces of things you've done. And as we get a little bit more into this corner, I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring this up a little taller, fill this in a little blotchier and a little more solid. And since it's a painting live stream, I have to mention that I'm getting hungry. A little bit on this corner.
What's the little bar called on Star Wars? Here's a question for Kevin. The cantina, right? I don't remember what the actual name of the cantina is.
That's what it is, but where's it at?
Well, I know what planet it's on.
No, that's not good enough. I know what planet it is.
That's where we need to go.
What settlement is it in? What's the little city?
That I can't say because I have no idea.
You bought me the t-shirt.
Yeah, but that was like 10 years ago. You probably still have it too.
I wear it all the time.
Mos Eisley, that's right. I was going to say Mos Eisley.
Okay, Billy Madison.
Paul officiated a wedding for some really good friends of ours.
Oh,
who actually
yeah.
they were
Employees of ours too.
Yeah, the wife was an employee. Actually, Matt was too.
Yeah,
for a while.
they had their second date ever at our studio.
Mm-hmm. So they asked Paul to officiate the wedding, and Paul had to go get certified, and because they're like family. So we flew to Denver, and we had the DJ put on the Cantina song.
Yeah, never do that. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Nobody will get up and dance.
Well,
Nobody.
I mean, people did for like a minute, but that song went for like 7 minutes.
I had no idea it was so long.
Like,
I think we went over to the DJ and we're like, okay, you can stop it now.
Like, I'm sitting there going, this is going to be like
30 seconds.
a minute and 40, minute second, minute and 45, 2 minutes. No, that song just keeps going and going and going. It's like, yeah, people got out and danced for like a minute, and then it was like, okay, that's enough. It's kind of getting stupid now. All right.
It was pretty funny.
It was kind of funny. All right, so I'm going to now, well, before we go too far, I'm going to check and see. This should be dry. Now, here's the big trivia question. Who shot first?
In the cantina?
Yeah, was it Han Solo or was it Greedo? Oh, you know what's crazy? I saw recently. So, you know, Roku, they have their own Roku channel.
Yeah.
Randomly, the very original theatrical release of Star Wars, before they added A New Hope to it, to the title, popped up on Roku.
Wow.
The original theatrical release before George Lucas went back and called it A New Hope and added little things like who shot first. It was the original theatrical release. And I don't know if it's still there, but it's intriguing. Okay, white. Number 8 brush. Little tiny bit of Bahama blue.
You're off camera.
That's fine. I'm just mixing color. Mostly white. Just the tiniest amount.
White and Bahama.
Yeah.
Aqua Fresh.
Yeah, and you don't want very much paint on your brush. I'm basically, I want to put a little tiny bit of red in there too, and a little tiny bit of phthalo blue. I want this to be a very, very pale, almost white lavender or periwinkle almost. And the funny thing about periwinkle, I always think of my Crayola 64 color set and then my 128 color set. And my favorite coloring book of all time was Empire Strikes Back. So.
You know what is crazy? So I have
Wait, hold on. I'm just going to streak this color in very lightly along this bottom edge here. And then we'll get your story in just a second. I'm not trying to be rude. It just happens. I'm going to wipe my brush off so I don't have extra paint. I'm just going to smudge and swirl this color up. Okay, go ahead.
So I have these, I had these books that were, you could buy them, like, I remember my parents just buying them at, like, Kroger from there. And they were Star Wars books, and it was like pictures of the movie with the story typed in.
Mm-hmm.
And the spellings were so weird. Like, they spelled R2 instead of just R.
It was ARTOO or something. Yeah, that's
but that
funny.
was like everything was like that. So what was going on with
that? They were made in China.
That's what I think. Made in a different country.
You know what?
Yeah.
I have my old original Empire Strikes Back pop-up book here.
I actually brought it home.
Oh, you took it home?
Yeah. I don't know where it is at home though. It was recent. I think it's in the office.
That would have been so fun to have here.
Darn it.
Because I think there's even the part where you open and it's like in Dagobah and like you full the thing and like R2 like flies out of the swamp.
And there's the part where Luke is hanging upside down in the ice creature.
And then there's the part where he's standing on his hand and like the rock
is Cloud City part.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I wish you hadn't I wish we had that here.
Well, I brought it home because I wanted to make sure it didn't get like thrown away when we had that dumpster here. So yes, it is in the office.
So I'm going to take a little bit of this color here. Just kind of smudge it around in the background. And what I like to do with it when I'm doing this kind of technique is I like to lay it down first and then smudge it out. It's almost like a dry brushing technique. You could just do it dry brush, but I think for people, if you're just learning how to do this kind of thing, this is a little easier. Maybe back here, just a little bit more pure white, just because.
So out of the first 3 movies, which is the one that you've watched the most?
I've probably watched them all about the same.
Okay. So I think Empire was watched the least for me.
I mean, I'd probably say A New Hope, the original, was
same.
probably the one I've watched the most.
Same. And then, there's a period of time where you're young and you're like, Ewoks, they're the cutest thing ever. I don't know if you were like that, but I definitely was.
Well, I mean, so Jedi came out when we were like 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of Bahama here, you guys, and just kind of add it in. Just.
Oh, you liked the Christmas special.
No. I remember, like, my cousins and I were really into Star Wars, and we'd get together and everything was Star Wars the whole time we would play. And I remember our grandma bought the Ewok Adventure.
The movies?
Yeah.
I have those at home.
We have those at home now. It was like, what? It was like
the Ewok
Caravan
Adventure.
of something, and
yeah.
And they're so bad.
They're so bad, they're good.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was like this weird, like, giant minotaur kind of character. And
They would hold people in cages.
Yeah.
To eat later.
And it was like, what's funny is, like, you can actually, if you think, you go back and watch it, and then you watch Willow, you can see that they were both George Lucas, right?
Yeah.
And you could see where there was some elements of it's like there were characters that were almost like the brownies.
Were there?
Mm-hmm. They were like these little fairy creatures that came to the little girl. And
yeah. Very interesting. So what are you doing? You're putting, like, you put the fog in and then you put the
just
blue.
added a little bit
What's
of
the blue
extra
for it? Contrast?
Just contrast, yeah. It's just to indicate that maybe there's some more trees and stuff back there. That's all we're doing. Where are we at time-wise?
I'll tell you.
Hour and 11 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what I'm doing is, just so you guys can see, so I'm just adding a little bit of this kind of color in here. All right, let's get going on framing this in with our swampiness. A weird way to say that, but we're going to do it. Okay, I'm going to take my big brush. I really like using my big brush for this type of stuff, and I'm going to just, let's zoom out. There we go. And I can see in the original, I've kind of got a tree that kind of goes down like that. And it kind of comes up like so. And it's just black. It's kind of like a mangrove tree, so it's kind of got some, instead of having like a big old trunk that grows into the ground, it's got more like multiple giant roots that kind of, that feed into the ground. I don't know. You guys can do whatever you want in that regard.
Some kind of swampy tree.
Yeah. And as it goes up, I kind of was like, okay, there's moss hanging off, so I turn my brush on edge, just kind of dab. You can leave a little bit of light showing through if you want to, but I really like it to be more dark and just kind of frame it in. And this is actually another, like, from one of the Monet paintings that we've taught. Just kind of this. In the Monet painting, it's a willow tree that hangs down, but in this, it's just this mossiness that's hangs down. And I just keep my brush and I just kind of tap. Maybe some of it hangs down pretty far, whatever. The trick here is to make sure it's really uneven and not just like they're all the same length or evenly spaced, and that they're pretty solid at the top.
This might be easier with the smaller brush too.
No, I think it's easier with the bigger, honestly. And I'll tell you why. You can just take your brush like this and
Using
just
the
tap.
vertical edge.
Yeah. if you use a smaller, it gives you too much room to be very regimented and placed. You know what I'm talking about? Dot, 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 dot. And this, we just want it to be fuzzy and
Viney.
loose, very loose. That. Now we're going to do the same thing on this other side. We've kind of got a couple of trees that are vines that go up like so. And I do want to do like a branch that kind of comes across. I don't know if it's a branch, maybe it's a vine.
That's scary.
Doesn't
All
matter.
the way across the canvas.
Yeah. And one of the things I like to do with this is like, I'm thinking, okay, there's moss and stuff on all this stuff. So I'm just going to kind of take my brush on edge. Not a lot of paint, but I kind of take my brush. Let me see. My palette over so you can see. I'll take it, get a little tiny bit of black on it, and I'll tap it so that it kind of spreads the bristles out a little bit. And you can kind of come through and just a little bit here and there. Maybe there's a little extra tuft here and there. And then do this kind of the same thing we did on this corner.
This is a different tree that's not attached to that big tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a foreground tree. It's in front. This tree goes way up before we start seeing branches, but this is like smaller tree. It's got stuff cutting in front. But really what we're doing with this is, you'll notice, is we've added this darkness in each of the corners. And so it's almost like when you play around with Instagram or TikTok or whatever, it's adding like a vignette which frames the picture and it brings the eye back into the middle. So yeah, actually I like that extra little bit of blue that we put in the tree. It just really allows that tree to stand out a little bit more. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to come along this edge here and give some, just like we did with the moss up there, but we're going to go up. It kind of gives us the impression that maybe there's some grasses and stuff growing in the swamp here.
Okay, ready for another?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. What lesson does Luke fail during his time in the cave on Dagobah? There, you don't have to say it yet.
I think that's a really weird question, honestly, because I don't know that it ever specifically says it, but I think it's more of an inferred lesson.
Else is that what that sound is?
I don't know. Let's look. Hmm.
Shaggy,
Gotcha.
shaggy. Okay, can you say the answer, Paul?
Well, the only thing I can think of it is,
So let me ask it again.
yeah,
What lesson does Luke fail during his time in the cave on Dagobah?
restraint, patience.
He brings his weapons, showing he's not ready to confront fear without aggression.
Okay, so that's a. I think he talks about. I think Yoda does say that, but now that I think about it. Okay, we're getting close to done, but we do have to put R2 in. So let's put R2 in real quick. I'm going to take my number 4 brush, and I'm just going to use white. And I need to make R2, make sure he's a little taller.
I kind of want to watch Empire. Would it be bad to start Greta with Empire?
Yes, it would be. Just keep in mind, if they gravitate towards Star Wars the way they did Lord of the Rings, we're going to be watching Star Wars all week. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But you never know.
Star Wars has no Pippin. No Pippin, and then with the Lord of the Rings Hobbit, there's no Thorin. Those were the characters kind of loved. Actually, I had another question for you. This one.
So, real quick, just you guys all know what R2 is shaped like, and
It's too big, buddy.
so I was recently in a community theater production of Hamlet. And this sounds really random, and let's talk about Paul. But
Your favorite subject.
always,
Just kidding.
always. But C-3PO and R2-D2 are essentially Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah.
And so the whole concept of, if you guys get into Shakespeare, which I've been getting into, there are always two slightly slapsticky, what they call comic relief, and R2-D2 and C-3PO were that, Merry and Pippin were that, and it's this formula that essentially Shakespeare created. So, all right, so our light source is coming from here. R2 is going to cast a little shadow. I just mixed up a dark purple. That went too far. Now you've gone too far.
Okay, here's your question.
Yeah.
How does Yoda describe Luke's mind when trying to train him?
Oh, is that for me or is that for everybody?
Anyone? You know the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's wait a minute or two.
I mean, I think so.
So his shadow is being cast that way, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm just taking this shadow color and just adding.
I feel like the shape of my R2 is a little off, but...
No, it's fine.
Okay.
He's a little skinny. So I'm just adding this shadow color and just so it makes sense.
Poor lonely R2. He's like the dog that gets chained up outside and never gets to come in.
Reckless. Kevin says reckless.
Oh, let's see what he said. Let me look at the answer in just a second. Should I read it in the Yoda voice?
Well, only if it's right. Only if it's right, because I want to guess. If Kevin's not right, I want a chance.
Let's see.
Kevin's been doing pretty good, so.
Technically, Kevin is right, yes.
Okay.
But now you take a shot.
I was going to say clouded by hate.
So the answer was an actual quote from Yoda. All his life has he looked away, to the future, to the horizon. Never his mind on where he was. What he was doing.
Wait, let me see.
Oh, very good. That's a very good clue.
All his life, he has looked away to the future, to the horizon, never his mind or where he was. What he was doing.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Give me like 5 minutes and I can get my Yoda down.
That's okay.
We'll pass on it. I've been reading Shakespeare a lot lately, and Yoda makes more sense now.
Oh.
All right.
Funny.
So for R2, I'm going to start just...
Oh, I think I missed some shading that you did.
Yeah, I just added some.
Because my R2 looks really out of place. Like it's just like this pasted white object.
Well, right now, because that's
Okay.
just base color. That is a very long, specific answer. It is true.
Oh, here's one everyone will know. Well, everyone who's a Star Wars fan. What major Force teaching does Yoda emphasize to Luke during training? It's the famous phrase.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one everybody thinks of with Yoda.
I think my mom made a handmade a poster of that for my room for me when I was a kid. In fact, I know she did. My parents were all into Amway and stuff, so those motivational quotes were.
Funny. Did your mom hand make any Star Wars homemade costumes for you?
Oh,
She did
yeah.
a lot of.
She did, actually.
costumes herself.
Yes, I got to. She handmade a. This is kind of funny, actually. Handmade a Luke from Return of the Jedi, the black costume, and it even had the flap at the neck and everything, and the one leather glove. And the funny thing is
I think I've seen photos of that.
yeah, the funny thing that really is really pretty funny about it is at that time, my sister, she was about 8 years older than I am, was in high school, and she and I happened to be really close to the same size.
Yeah, because she's
5'2"
or something like that now.
Yeah, and she had some black leather boots that were just like just past the ankle kind of height boots. And I remember I wore her.
80s ankle boots. I love it.
They were a little higher, but I wore my sister Lee's boots for Halloween that year.
That's funny. I like that. I
Yeah.
mean, way to be innovative.
Yeah, and the funny thing is so at that time, that was kind of like Mark Hamill's hair kind of was more sandy blonde.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about the time because I was blonde as a kid, and my hair was like that exact color at the time, so it worked. And I had like one black leather glove, and yeah, it was
That's perfect.
it was a good costume. All right, so I am going to now. I'm going to use my smallest brush. We're going to work on R2. We're going to be done here very shortly, you guys, because really all we've got left to do is work on R2. I want to mix up his silver for his head, and I'm going to
Or if
use,
you have metallic silver.
if you got metallic silver at home, rock it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've got some here, but I'm not going to go find it.
I think it's in our paint cart there if you want me to get you some.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I am just using my Bahama blue and black and a little bit of white.
Oh, that makes a good silver.
Yeah, and you could do just black and white works fine too. But keep in mind, this needs to be pretty pale. So I'm just going to take this color, do his head here, and I got a little bit too close to the same color as my background, but that's all right. I'm going to add some shading. Wipe my brush off. I'm going to take a little bit of white now. Excuse me.
You could zoom in since it's so small.
Oh yeah, it is pretty small, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it makes Star Wars noises. Have you seen the video of that dog?
Yeah.
It's like I think it's a basset hound. And when it greeted people,
Yeah.
it would make the noise that sounds like the TIE fighters. Or TIE fighters.
It was funny. I don't remember where I saw it, but
TikTok.
oh, we're talking about years and years and years ago. Some guy took a recording of TIE fighters, that sound, and like went out into like the national forest by a campground with this giant PA speaker in the back of his truck and played it. And like people freaked out.
Oh my gosh.
Because like people know that sound. I mean, it's like, especially like our generation, I mean, it's just ingrained. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of this darker. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of black here. Little bit of that, just to darken it up here. Oh, sure.
What did you think of C3PO?
I mean, he was there for a purpose. I liked C3PO
He
actually.
had severe OCD.
I mean, he's a droid. I think probably 1981, 80 or 81. I had the the store bought, like the plastic apron with the mask costume that everybody had.
Mm-hmm.
I had C3PO that year.
Oh yes, those costumes.
Yeah.
With like the mask that was probably toxic chemicals.
Yeah. So I actually went.
And it had like the tiny little slit cut for the mouth.
Yeah, I actually was C3PO that one year. And I think probably because my guess is they were out of Luke Skywalker. And it's kind of funny. My best buddy back in the day, his name was Craig Wilson. And Craig, if you've seen this, I haven't forgotten.
I doubt Craig is seeing it.
It worked. No, he's probably not. We haven't. He moved in second grade. We actually went to Return of the Jedi together, though. We actually skipped school. Our moms let us skip school to go to the premiere. Anyway, it worked out really good because I was always a Luke guy. Luke was my guy, and Craig liked Han Solo. And so when we would go play, and like we go out in the yard and be like, "It's Darth Vader," we always worked out because we didn't have to fight over who was who. All right, I'm taking a little bit of our taking a little bit of our blue, like our Phthalo Blue and Bahama Blue, and I would probably be best off to look at a picture of R2 right now, but I'm not going to.
I could pull one up.
It's all right.
Well, if you don't know what he looks like, I'm gonna pull one up.
He's got these blue bands on his front. He's kind of got these blue spots on us.
Doesn't he like feed Luke something in there? I can't remember what he eats.
No.
That would be a trivia question.
Oh, R2, Yoda?
Yeah,
He does
that's
like make some stew for him.
The reason I said that is 'cause I'm working on the little window part, the doorway right
Yeah.
now. And I was like, I could put like silhouettes in here. You should make something. Oh, you do have something coming out of the chimney.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did put one red dot right here for R2. He's got his one little eye. I don't know. And I'm just going to use this gray that we made for his head. We're going to maybe add a little. I'm just really working on R2. And you guys, again, this is the kind of thing if you want to.
You want to correct Paul and what he actually looks like?
You have absolutely no room to talk right now. You have been so wrong on so much of this. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. You know that. You know I love you. All right.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so you have to answer the question.
What
I'll
was it?
ask it again. What major Force teaching does Yoda emphasize to Luke during training? I told you it's the famous.
Isn't it like clear your feelings?
No. You know what it is.
Oh yeah, duh. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we need to apply that to painting, everyone. Do or do not. There is no try. Are you looking up a picture? Yes, you are
I am.
too.
I R2.
You have to find a picture of him from the side, though. That's a little harder.
Well, that you can kind of like. Actually, this one is pretty good.
He has that arm-looking thing we need to paint on there, kind of.
Again, this is
There
the
you
kind of
go.
thing you guys can look up and play around with. This side is mostly gray. Mostly silver, I should say. He's got these.
Puppy left out in the rain. Really, rain there? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it does because it's super swampy, but I don't remember if it was raining.
Yeah, it
You
was
said it. Yeah, I think you said it was earlier.
Yeah, it was like literally raining when he was standing outside in it.
Buddy.
But he's an astromech droid, so he's like designed to be like watertight. All right. So I do also want to put in his little he's got this little bump right here, and I know when he was on Dagobah he had his scanner up, so you guys, I have 2 3D printers for my other work, for my other business, and they're literally called R2D2 and R5D4. So,
Nerd alert.
Nerd alert. My next one's going to be BB-8, so.
Oh, we could add some golden glow on him from the
Oh yeah, for sure.
window
Let's do that.
or the doorway.
Just going to take a little bit of yellow. Them out.
Okay, here's a question for you. Last one. Ready for the last question? Is in the hard section.
Okay.
Why is Dagobah significant as a hiding place for Yoda after the fall of the Jedi?
Well, there's 2 reasons why, and I'll wait and see if anybody else.
Roll.
No, he actually
Something
said that
different.
before.
Okay, something different.
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at the chat section in a while. I was too focused on my painting my R2.
Ass end of space is one of them. Yeah, it's in the outer realm. And then the second reason is because it is particularly high in the Force.
Really?
That's what I read.
I didn't read the answer, so let me read it now.
All right.
Its strong natural force presence helped mask his location from the Empire and Sith. Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so I added my little bit of yellow glow on R2. Last thing we're going to do is just a couple little things. We're just going to throw some little hints of some vines and bushes and things. I'm really just going to use my smallest brush at this point, and just in this foreground, just.
Oh, he has like a little thing on his head.
Yeah, it's his little
Is
scanner.
that up all the time?
No.
Okay. He's scanning the area.
All right, so before we get going, before we leave, I see there's 9 of you,
You have
on
to
here.
put the
Oh yeah, smoke on there too. I want to know what everybody's favorite Star Wars film or TV series is. So just post it in your comment section. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's right. It's all very personal. We all have our favorite. Want to know.
Oh, I didn't draw those tree trunks over there.
I don't know. You were too busy asking questions and ridiculing. And
Ridiculing. Right. Okay, let's see here. Just a couple leaning.
New Hope. Solid answer. Oh, Kathy, I think you're also a new subscriber.
Yeah.
I thought I saw your name pop up. So
Welcome.
welcome. I hope you guys are enjoying your first exposure to us.
Might not be the first.
Might be, if those of you who are first timers.
Oh, you have like little lightning bugs you have to put in the bag.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
like
shoot.
forgetting everything. That trivia is throwing you off.
No,
You're not done with this.
no, we're not. That's the Jenny element, though. So
The details.
no, the lightning bugs.
Yeah. I was surprised you added them in there, honestly.
I mean, you could do it. It doesn't need to be on there. I'll show you how to do it in just a minute. But right now, we're just doing a lot of little. So we got 1 vote for New Hope, 1 for Empire. Jenny, what about you? What's your favorite one?
Let's see. Okay, so as a kid,
Yeah.
obviously loved the first Star Wars movie, but I was really sold on the Ewoks. So as a kid, I loved
Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Empire was probably my least favorite, just because it was different, and I don't know, for some reason we just didn't watch that one very much at home. So
It was dark.
it might be different now watching it as an adult. I mean, I have watched it as an adult, but it's been a while. But yeah, A New Hope definitely now would be my favorite.
Okay. Don't be shy, y'all.
We even actually named our son Hayden because at the time that they cast the what's that one called with Hayden Christensen, the first one?
Well, the prequel trilogy.
But what
No,
is
it
that
was
first?
Attack of the Clones
Attack of the Clones. Is that? Are you sure? Is that what it was called? The very first one?
that he was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we saw. I was having a hard time thinking of a name. Knew we were having a boy, and I saw that some actor named Hayden Christensen had been cast as Anakin. I was like, that's kind of a cool name. And so we kind of went back and forth between like Hayden and Camden, and we ended up Hayden. I remember you were like, oh, that's the name of the guy from Coach.
Oh, Coach Hayden. Yeah.
So you thought that was good, but then you also liked Camden Field.
Camden Yards.
Yeah, Camden
I
Yards.
wore my Baltimore Orioles hat today. I'm not a Orioles fan per se, but I'm a baseball fan as well. I played college baseball, so it was, and then played baseball until I was 30. So baseball was always a part of what we liked, and I really loved Camden Yard. It was a beautiful park at the time, and still is. But there's a lot of kids around his age named Cam.
Are there?
A ton.
Yeah, there were a lot of
There's a lot of Haydens too.
Bradens. But there weren't a ton of Haydens actually. 'Cause I think it's just it's Old English name. There were, Braden, Jaden, tons of Jadens.
And both our kids have middle names from Wheel of Time. So
Poor things.
yeah.
The poor things.
I don't know. They're fine. The names are fine. They're not like super weird. No. We're not going to disclose that.
I let Paul pick the middle names.
We don't want people stalking us. We did used to do classes in Tigard. You're correct. That was us.
Yeah, we had the studio there off 99 for 5 years, and we moved out in 2018, partly because our rent was going to be going up to about $7,000 a month.
More than we could afford at the time.
Well, yeah, we were selling good tickets and everything. It's just the space was really big, and so that's partly why the rent was high. They price it based on square feet, and then also it just ended up being good because then COVID hit 2 years later, and I think if we had been stuck there, we would have been cooked.
Yeah, I don't think the new landlords we had were not good landlords.
They were not the people that were landlords when we first signed on there.
Yeah, and I don't think they would have been easy to deal with getting out of
A lease early, yeah.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a little bit of a blessing in disguise, but except we absolutely loved that space. We loved our neighbors.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, we just hope people everybody's. I kind of look at art as like the paintings and stuff. It doesn't really matter what the topic is. It's just we're here to do it and have fun doing it and show you guys what we do.
And I don't know if you were on here earlier, Jessica. We still do live classes. We're just in Sherwood now. We have a space that's a
couple spaces.
Spaces there. One's an art center we teach at, and the other is a nonprofit theater space that we are on the board for. So we teach there several times a month. You can go to findgo.com.
All right, guys. So we're gonna do our.
Nice, Kathy. Good.
We're gonna do our lightning bugs, and you can see my Yoda's hut ended up being a little bit bigger. R2 ended up being a little bit bigger, which actually turned out I like my R2 and the new one a lot.
I need to do the smoke.
Yeah, okay, so smoke, I'm just going to take a little bit of white in my smallest brush. And what I like to do is I like to kind of just, well, just that. Just take a little bit and just push it around. And let it break up as it goes.
It looks so cozy here. I could just go there and vacation.
Just don't go for a swim.
Somebody should make an Airbnb that's like this, like in the bayou.
That would be amazing. Let's do it.
Okay, everybody, let's trademark that idea. We can't.
We just need some investors. You guys have a couple $1 million to invest in our vision.
Venmo.
Just let us know. You guys can be the first ones to stay there.
I love that idea. Wouldn't that be so fun?
It would be fun to do.
Have it like.
I know that like the original Hobbiton set, there's a few of VRBOs down there.
It's a thing you can tour and you can go to like the bar that's there, and I think there is like one that you can maybe stay in. It's really neat. I kind of did a little deep dive looking into that location because the way they've set up the one Hobbit hole is so cool. I could just move right in.
I'd be like Gandalf all the time, hitting my head and going, whoa!
Oh, lightning bugs.
Yeah, lightning bugs. Okay, so I did just kind of like a triple form of this. I'm going to use my smallest brush. I'm going to use the back end, and I'm just going to put a little yellow dot here. I'm going to take my finger, smooth it out, do another little yellow dot, do just a little smush.
And nice. We hope to see you, Jessica.
And then a little white dot right in the middle.
I feel like I have just like a renewed love of teaching live because for a while I got really burned out just because, you know, it was a lot for one person having the two spaces and Paul was working full time somewhere else.
I still work full time.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, let me pause this real
Okay.
quick. What you can do is, what I'm basically doing is taking a little bit of yellow, swirling it out, taking another little yellow dot, and just pushing my finger down. Do a bunch of
interesting.
these little yellow circles first. Little swirl out, little dot, punch it down.
Well, this makes it less lonely for little R2.
Yeah. Swirl, another dot in the middle, punch it out. Then come back with the back of your brush and a little bit of white and put it right in the middle. And if you wanted to, you can just add some little random
Dots.
single dots. You can do yellow, you can do...
Put some over the water.
Yeah, put some over the... These are the little fairies from the caravan of whatever it was called. I can't remember what it was called.
Ewok Adventure.
Yeah, but there were two of them.
Yeah. I'll just look it up. Caravan of Courage and the Battle for Endor.
That makes sense.
And we own both of them on DVD. I don't even remember where I got those.
Did somebody give them to us?
No, I probably ordered them online many moons ago.
All right.
Many.
The Moon of Endor moons ago? I mean, this is the kind of thing. You know what's interesting is when I was looking at the photo reference, you can tell that his main door is like mechanical.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I never noticed that before.
I'm gonna
but...
have to really look
Okay, so Jenny, what you said? Return of the Jedi. We had New Hope, Empire's Kevin's. I'm gonna say that mine is a tie between Empire and Rogue One.
Yeah, you said you like Rogue One a lot.
Yeah, there's something about it.
Interesting that you chose Empire though. So what is it about Empire that you like the most?
It's more. It's that. I think it's because it's more tense. There's more tension to it. There's more darkness. There's more real romance in it too. Like of all the silly
Oh,
things.
that's
Not
why
that. Not that it's
you were
like.
after the romance, Paul.
Of course. I love a good rom-com.
I was really mad when Han Solo kissed Leia because I wanted Luke and Leia, and then the next movie it's like, oh, crap.
So I just put my little signature right there. And as we always do, are you about done?
Yeah, let me sign it.
We always show you guys how
Alright.
both of our paintings turned out. So I'll slide mine off to the side.
Oh, green's a
here.
good color to sign
Ah,
it with. Water.
not Shrek swampy green, but you know.
Oh my gosh, we could put Shrek in here, the
Stay out of my swamp.
Predator.
All right, and here's Jenny's. They're so similar.
They really are.
Like I don't think you and I have ever done two paintings that were so similar.
We have before, but
It's pretty rare.
yeah. I was gonna add the white to my fireflies, but I actually kind of like them soft and subtle.
Yeah, I do too.
Ah, thank you, Marlene.
You could leave you could totally leave R2D2 off of this painting and just call it like the little like hovel in the swamp or something.
Mhm.
I always think,
I like seeing mine like so being up close to it.
where's my wicket?
I don't get. Oh, it's right over here. You don't get a good feel for how it looks, but seeing it like now on screen, I like my tree bark. I'm happy with the way that turned out.
So here's a couple of. This was last year.
We did Grogu.
We did Grogu, and this is like one of my favorite paintings we've ever like.
I
for-
love your wicket. That was yours.
Yeah,
Like, you kicked my butt.
Out
on
of
that one.
all of the paintings we've done, I think this is one of my 3 or 4.
I will keep that one
favorite,
forever.
yeah.
Because I taught the painting. I designed and taught the painting, and then I saw Paul's at the end, and I was like,
You jerk.
I'm never showing mine again. Mine was just a little more cartoony.
Yeah, I was just.
You just captured Wicket. That's what it was. You captured.
Well,
it.
I really, being such a fan of Star Wars, and I'm not just a fan of Star Wars, but I do a lot of traditional landscape painting. And so, like, when we do these, like, more fantastic and fantasy type inspired things, I really love to get into it because it's, like, it's where my heart is as far as, like, entertainment. So, all right, let's bring us back because we're going to try to get out of here early enough that we can go home and watch A New Hope. And,
Yeah.
the other one that was really fun is when we did Chewbacca.
Yeah, we did a sort of a glamour Chewbacca. He was like rainbow color.
Yeah, and you remember mine? We were like laughing. It's like it was the first time a woman showed him. Never mind. And he's like,
Yours had like shell shock
He was, like-
expression, but
like so excited and happy,
and then you did the Indoor Twilight, which
The Indoor
that
Twilight.
was a great one.
Yeah, that
those
was-
are all on our YouTube channel too, by the way. You can look them up.
So I'm gonna be honest. Like this painting that we did tonight, the coloring and the lights. Hold it up again so you guys can see it. Was really inspired by the Indoor Twilight painting. I wanted to kind of capture that same kind of glowing forest swamp, but then the warm
Thank you
firelight
guys.
and stuff.
Jessica, Elizabeth, Kevin.
You know what, you guys? It was so
Marlene.
great to have all of you in, and I am wearing my Mythosaur Boba Fett sweatshirt tonight, and a lot of people say, "Oh, that's Mandalorian." No, Mandalorian had the.
What am I wearing?
You are wearing.
I'm dressed like Anakin's mom.
You're dressed, yes, yeah, Shmi.
Shmi. I'm dressed like
Shmi,
Shmi.
Shmi Skywalker.
Channeling Shmi tonight.
There's sand everywhere. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We always look forward to doing our May the 4th painting because it is a lot of fun and it does definitely
Gives us a chance to geek out and show
geek out.
true geek colors.
Yeah, exactly. And we always do these ones for free. So it gives us an opportunity to reach out to new people. And so thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, join us in person if you're local, vinego.com.
And if you really enjoy it, check out our membership options. There's 2. There's
thank you, Kathy.
the live, where you get access to the live streams every month, and those are $2.99. But you do have to be part of the live stream.
$2.99 a month to have
$2.90
access
$2
to all of them.
No, $6.99.
No, $2.99 a month to have access to all the live streams.
Right. And then $6.99 a month gets you access to our whole full catalog of videos.
And the live streams.
And the live streams and all that stuff. And so hopefully
Okay,
you guys...
sales pitch over.
But I mean, that's why we do it.
It is. We have a lot of fun.
We have
Thank
to
you
make a
guys
living.
so much. May the force be
May
with
the force
you.
be with you guys.
And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.